Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, everybody. This is Dave Trotter from Wysdom. We're scheduled to start our broadcast right now. We're going to give about 30 seconds to a minute for just a few more to join here. We can see some in the waiting room here, so we'll just wait 30 seconds and then we'll kick off. So refresh your coffee or your lunch or your dinner, wherever you are, and we'll kick off shortly. Okay, good. I think that's it. We've got everybody in. So thanks everybody. Welcome for joining. Jay, if you can move me to the next slide, we'll sort of do a quick setup for everybody. My name's Dave Trotter. I'm the SVP of Sales and Marketing here at Wysdom. I'm joined by Jay Athia, who's our Senior Director of Customer Success. Jay's going to do most of the talking today and run you through a demo of our Operations Center platform. We'll do a little bit at the beginning, just to, introducing ourselves as Wysdom, who we are, what we do, where we fit in sort of the life cycle of a chatbot. So we'll start a little bit there, and then Jay will spend the time really digging into our Operations Center platform. Next one, Jay. If you have any questions, this is designed to be interactive. You'll see there's a panel in the GoToWebinar control panel where you can go in and type any questions. We will have a Q&A at the end, but feel free to jump in anytime you want with a question, particularly if Jay's digging into something in our Operations Center and you'd either like him to go further down that particular path or you have a question as to why he's going down that path. Please feel free to do that. We have people watching for Jay so that he doesn't get distracted, and we can come in and say, hey, Jay, here's the question that might help you get more value out of where he's going in the Operations Center. So feel free to do that. If you don't do it during the session, we will have a chance at the end to answer questions. But again, it's designed to be interactive, so feel free to interrupt. Next one, Jay. And so we're going to start with a poll question. I mean, what's obviously very interesting is all the media around, ChatGPT 3 and 4. Obviously, I saw that Google Bard was now open for testing to the general public in the UK and the US today. Has all the noise about ChatGPT, has that accelerated your bot program? So really, can you go in and just let us know, has it accelerated it? Is it business as usual, or you're in wait and see mode? What's happened in your environment? We'll just give about 30 seconds for that to go through and see some of the results come through. Obviously, I think for all of us, whether it's our family, those around us in our organizations, the level of conversation around conversational AI has picked up substantially because of all the press around ChatGPT 3 and 4. And I think that's driven many conversations. So, I mean, we're finding a lot more of our potential customers reaching out to us and asking questions about how they're going to implement and also how they're going to analyze and use the data to continually improve. So we've certainly seen a lot of that going through. So we'll just wait a few minutes for answers to come through. Okay, I think we're almost done here. All right, I think we're going to close the poll. AJ, can you close the poll here? I think that should do it. Perfect. Okay. So thank you for that. We'll come back a little bit on that later. And Jay, if you can go to the next slide. Oh, here we go. Sorry, you're on the slide. Thank you. So I'll do a little bit about Wysdom and sort of where we fit. There's two pieces to our business. The piece we're really going to show you today is our analytics software. So this is how you take data from all of your platforms, whether it's voice, whether it's chat, whether it's live text, and pull that together and understand the quality of your bot, the performance of your bot, where you're succeeding, where you're not succeeding, how do you compare to others in your industry, where should you be? So that's what Jay's really going to focus on today is the analytics software piece of our business. But we also have a professional services team. So one of the challenges our customers have is they say, this is great, I have this analytics software, but I've got a very small team. It's me and one other person. So we do have a professional services arm that we can layer on top of our software, help you with building out your bot, with maintaining it, with improving it, helping you with analytics, so that you're able to take all of the data from our analytics software, slice and dice it perhaps in a way that's unique to you, so that you can present internally within your organization. And one of the things we're seeing from bot teams is having the data about what's actually happening on your bot allows you internally to go to your stakeholders, and particularly your budget holders, and say, here's where we need to invest to drive better CSAT, to drive our costs down. And so having sometimes the professional services piece from Wysdom along can help that, or you can do that all alone, all on your own, with the chatbot analytics software, which Jay's going to show you. Next one, Jay. So here's really where we fit. So you'll spend a lot of time on your chatbot journey on launch. So what bot platform are you going to run onto? Creating your flows, connecting into your back office systems, and very frequently that's where all the effort goes. And then post launch is where Wysdom really focuses, which is, how do you get all your conversation data in one place with easy access, with reporting around it, so that if you're a chatbot technologist, you can really dig deep into the data that's there. Perhaps if you're a product owner, you want to look at things at a slightly higher level. And if you're a budget owner, I just want to understand the financial impact of some of the things that are happening within our bot program. So what we do is just give you this reporting level that allows you to see where you're performing, where you're not performing, where you should improve, and what the ROI would be on any investment that you make to improve anything that needs to be improved. So that's really what Jay's going to show you today, is the post-launch piece. You're already launched, you picked your platform, you're up and running. How do you get data that enables you to really maximize your investment and figure out, where do I invest next to drive better CSAT and to drive the financial return that you want to get from your bot program? Next one. So here's what we're going to show you. So Jay's going to come in and show you our analytics program, and really how you use it to improve the performance of your VA. So really, it's about getting your bot, your text, your live agent data all in one place, looking at your overall performance. So Jay will spend time looking at sort of a main dashboard, running how's your performance, and then dig into where are you struggling, and how you can filter data to really drill down on where some of the issues may be, and then look at actual conversations. And so be able to filter and look at some of the actual data from conversations, and really teach you how you use the insights that are in our platform to really drive the ultimate customer experience. So I'll turn it over to Jay, and he's going to go right live into our platform and show you from there. So there you go, Jay.
Thank you, David. I'll jump in, but while I'm doing that, I'll tell you sort of how we came to build Operations Center. David alluded a little bit to the history of Wysdom. We spent many years building and managing bots for our customers. I spent personally 5 years here at Wysdom in that role, leading a lot of the programs with our enterprise and large organization clients. And so, let's go back 5 years ago to perhaps a simpler time. We had these bots running or starting to be launched. And in the beginning, they're manageable. They get, a reasonable amount of interactions. They're working the way we think they should, or we're making changes to the bot to help them improve. But then as the bot starts showing value, our customer or client starts saying, or we make recommendations to say, let's add a new channel, let's add a mobile messaging, let's add a voice, let's put a bot on the app, maybe another language, and it starts multiplying. So you have different topics, different languages, different channels, and it becomes more and more difficult to understand, one, what's happening, and two, what do you do about it? So we set forth at that point to build something a bit more scalable, right? In a sense, a bit more user-friendly to understand what's happening in my bot and what do I do about it. And so that's where the early versions of Operations Center really came to be. And now we've put together something that allows you to do all of that with millions of conversations a month, with a high level of complexity across channels and languages, and really be able to focus in on your topics. So I'll start here in the screen called Experience and Automation Summary. So the problem we were trying to solve with this particular screen is understanding at a high level how my bot is performing. Answer that question for executives. Hey, you've been running this bot for a year. How's it doing? What's the trajectory? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? And what are people talking about? So at that highest level, this Experience and Automation Summary screen gives you that view. And there's two metrics here that Wysdom created. I'll talk about that in a moment. Here called Experience and Automation. But to orient yourself, or to orient you to the screen, you have the dials, which are the main metrics, some trend lines, again, answering those questions on how the bot's doing and which way is it going, and then everything at a topic level below. But I'll come back up here to talk about Experience and Automation. So in the 5 years I've been here, I've worked across countless platforms, like ones like Dialogflow, Raza, BotPress, Amazon Lex, sometimes an in-house built platform as well. Some of our larger organizations decide to build their own, which is amazing. But none of them have had a really good measure of automation. They all have containment or deflection, which I'm sure all of you on the call know about, which is the portion of chats that don't move on to an agent. Containments, vary between 20 to 50 to 60, 70%, depending on your use case, but doesn't really tell you whether or not your users are getting an answer. Doesn't tell you whether or not they've received resolution or were satisfied with that response. All it tells you is they didn't go to an agent in that session into live chat or to a call center agent if you're on the phone. And likewise with the experience metrics, we're relying heavily on surveys. So a post chat survey, a stars or thumbs up or thumbs down in chat. And we know, and I'm sure all of you on the call know, 10 or 15% of users actually filled that out. So what you get is a very narrow view of what the experience is actually like. It's a subset of people that filled it out, and the feedback tends to be negative. Right? We all know we tend to complain or leave that negative review if something went wrong, but we won't go out of our way to even leave a neutral review to say it was fine, or let alone a positive review. So we went out and said, you know what, we don't see this in the market. We're going to create two metrics that give us a better view of that, and then form the basis of how we analyze our bots based on the availability of these two metrics. To start, so automation experience. What these are, you'll see BES and BAS, bot experience score, bot automation score. We've made these, they encapsulate 6 to 7 different signals, depending on the metric, of measures of experience and measures of automation. So for experience, we're looking at things like a sentiment score. We're of course looking at the feedback if someone has left feedback. We're assessing whether or not a bot had to repeat itself or the user had to try to get multiple times to their response. All of those are indicative of a poor experience, and so we calculate the experience score accordingly. But the important part that I want you to walk away from this score with the score is it's not a survey. It's every single chat, every single message is assessed, and then there's a score assigned to that particular conversation and then rolled up for your entire bot. So this bot is performing at an 85 experience score. And I mean, this is all made up for a demo, but that tends to be the sort of the top or best of class. I've seen bots down in the 40s and 50s that really do a poor job in helping their customers and users. And the best ones are sort of up in the 80 to 85 range and starting to push 90. The automation score, like its counterpart, the experience score, is looking at 7 different signals. It's looking at whether or not someone got to a meaningful response in the bot. So, it wasn't an intermediary step through a conversational flow. It wasn't something that said, hey, call us to get this resolved. All of those are taken into account, and it measures truly did someone get resolution. So this will always be lower than containment. Containment will be sometimes 2x, 3x this value, if not more, because again, containment only measures did they go to an agent, and automation measures did they get an answer that's actually satisfactory. We look at false positives as well to see if they actually got the right answer versus just any answer. So allow me to walk you through BES and BAS, the bot experience score, the bot automations, how we use this to analyze our bots and make them even better. So I'm scrolling down here to the bottom of the page where we have our contact reasons listed. And I'll head up to another screen momentarily, but I wanted to introduce these concepts to you first. In Operations Center, what we're doing is taking all of your transcripts from bot and with the agent, so the live agent. So the user first talking to the bot and then saying, hey, I want a human, can you get me over to one? And then that conversation with the agent all comes in, stitched together in through the Operations Center. The Operations Center is looking at that full transcript end to end and trying to determine what is the primary reason of contact. And as all of you probably know, sometimes with the bot conversation and the user just won't reveal it. They'll say, you know what, I know you're a bot, don't talk to me, I want to talk to a human. And the bot's programmed to hand over. And then they get into sort of their true feelings and experiences about what's going on with the organization. And so Operations Center will look at that portion for the real insight of what that contact reason is. Once it detects that contact reason and says, this is what I think the primary reason was, it's listed here. I want to be very clear, this is very different than the intent in your bot. And we did this very intentionally. The intent in your bot is what's programmed in your platform, again, like a Dialogflow, Alexa, Power Virtual Agents, Raza, etc., to detect when a user says X, match to this intent, and then give the program response. If a user says something that isn't detected by your bot, it goes into a don't understand. And then you lose visibility of it. You have to go through this other data file or this other query to say, what's everything that my bot didn't understand and how do I group it all and determine what I need to do. So in order to avoid that, the Operations Center is taking a parallel model. It's a parallel topic model that we've developed using some of the best open source technology out there, but then layering on our domain expertise for a particular vertical. So if you're in telco, I know we've got a few folks here from telecommunications, some in post-secondary education, others in retail. There's sort of models for each of these. So we take these open source models, we layer in our knowledge for the last, at least I've been here 5 years running bots and then detecting these topics. So these are different. So you'll see topics here that likely your bot don't know how to handle today. And that's the point. So we'll take these and say, okay, let's add that respective handling in my bot. So back to this list, we've got the contact reason. So we've detected in this case about 7,900 users or chats have talked about product information. And then we've got the respective experience score and the automation score set to them. So this is our summary view. This is our 30 seconds, you log in, take a look, where's my overall bot in terms of automation experience, what's my trend, and then how does it look at a contact reason level. So great place to start, but really when you want to get into the meat of it all, we head over to here, which is conversation analytics, and specifically within contact reasons. So as a quick orientation to this page, what we have is a date range at the top. Of course, you can change your dates, pre-select different types, or use a calendar. If you have multiple brands, I know some of the users on the webinar today might have sort of a parent organization and then sub brands that they offer to consumers depending on their segment. They'll all be here under brand. You likely have channels. So in this case, in this demo, I have an Apple Business Chat, an SMS, and a web chat. And then additional filters, if you want to look at just the bot portion of a conversation or one where just the live agent or both. This particular example only uses English, but we support English, French, and English, French, and Spanish. 3 distinct languages, I promise, not a combination of 2 of them. But those 3, as well as several other European languages. The interface will be in English, but we'll be able to support I think 2 or 3 dozen different languages out of box. Again, device, if you have that information collected. And then where my customers find a lot of value is looking at things by queue. So the bot handles something, hands off to a queue, and it wants to be able to say, when chats go to a particular queue, what are the topics that users are asking about? and then a few other filters here to look at it by time. So let's talk through a particular scenario and how you use this screen. We have these contact reasons, I already described them. They're detected automatically by Operations Center based on the bot and agent portion of the conversation with the user. The volume's calculated, the experience score is all determined with the automation score. Containment is here. Although I dismissed it off the top as being not as valuable, it still has a role to play, and I'll show you exactly how. And then a few other metrics on handle time. So how long the conversation typically takes between the agent and either the bot waiting for an agent or with the agent itself. So let's scroll back over here, and I'm going to pick for us to look at this particular contact reason called order status, and then I'll talk about delayed order as well. But let's start with order status. What it is, it's the fourth most popular topic across our bot in this date range. About 25,000 chats around order status, representing 4% of all volume. My experience score for this topic, so again, it's taking all of these chats, detecting the contact reason, and saying, when users ask about order status, what's the experience like? In this case, it's 75. And just to contrast, you've already started looking, but look at cancel order, 49. So immediately sort of tells you, hey, one's underperforming, one's overperforming. You can start looking at, okay, let's figure out what's going on in one and how do we improve that experience for users. Looking right, where my mouse is, you see order status is about 9.3 in terms of automation. But if I flip over to this, it's 11 in containment. And this is how we use it. So what it's telling me is containment is 11%. So 11% of my chats don't go to an agent, but really only 9% are truly resolved. And it's indicating that there's a gap here of users that aren't going to an agent, but probably didn't get what they were looking for. Here's another one. So looking down to damaged orders, number 6 in this table. The automation score is only 6%, whereas my containment's 13. So a little bit more than twice as high. And again, what it means is 13% of users are contained, but only 6% actually got something meaningful. And that's where we'll dig in and say, how do we bridge that gap? How do we bring automation closer to containment? And this is why it's really important to have both of these metrics. It gives us a really quick way to go and find problem areas to dig a little bit deeper. So shifting back up here to order status, you'll see that there's a little bit of a delta here, but there's an interesting convergence that's happened. I want to call that out as well. This blue ball, this blue sort of pill shape or oval shaped item here, it shows the change over the previous period. So you'll see automations declined by about 22%, whereas containment's about flat. So what it's saying is the automation rate's actually gotten worse, even though containment's pretty flat. And if you're running a bot and you're managing it day to day, you're wondering, did I spend my resources accordingly? Did I fill up my sprint or my project plan with the right work? And this helps you reveal whether or not, yes, you did or not, or whether you should be focused on somewhere else. So your containment didn't move. Maybe you spent a sprint in trying to adjust the experience or adjust the AI model training. And your containment moved, but you had an adverse impact on your resolution. So maybe your conversation design negatively impacted whether users were actually able to get a response. And that's what that's showing here. So let's click in. If I click into any of these, I get a lot more detail. So you're taken to this screen, and what we're seeing here is this scenario of you found something you want to dig into, and you need to learn a lot more in order to take that action. So the order status is where we've clicked in. This is everything here is within order status. All of the metrics from the home page are all displayed. So you see the trend lines associated with them. These are all clickable. You also have all of these tabs here to allow you to go a lot deeper. I specifically like order status. Related topics. So what this shows is you've, again, detected an area of concern. You know, there's something in your metrics that are showing there's a problem and you want to learn more. Order status is the main reason they've reached out. But you also want to know what they brought up. When someone contacts an organization regarding a topic, inevitably they add more color to it. They add more context. They're asking about something else. So in this case, the main reason they've messaged or called is like, hey, I need the status of my order. and X, right? There's something else, and that's what this section shows us. So in this case, out of all of the conversations that were order status as the primary topic, delayed order was the second most common. So about 4,700 chats in this case. The user said, I need the status of my order, or I checked my order status, it's showing delayed, why, what's going on? And that's sort of second. Third is around issues. Maybe there was an attempted delivery, but it went to a neighbor's house, or it got lost somewhere else, and it hasn't actually made it. And then another 7% are general complaints. So some other maybe venting by that user to the bot or agent. When you click any of these and want to learn more, all of the conversations are listed here. So you see the timestamps, the date, and then the full transcript. And this part's really cool. When I was managing bots well, I still am, but as I managed bots at Wysdom over the last 5 years, you find an area of concern in your queries, in your reporting, in your dashboarding, and then you say, okay, this is the topic I want. Let me go write a SQL in my database so I can pull that transcript and start looking at the transcript. And you do that, and you pull one transcript and you look at it and you say, oh shucks, this was the wrong one, right? This is not what I needed. And you go do it again and you say, oh, this is the date range I want, not this date range. And you can see the cycle, and I'm sure you've all done it. You write a query, didn't get what you want, do it again, query takes 10 minutes to run, and by the time you know it, you've burned your whole day just trying to get to the answer. Whereas here, what we've done in Operations Center is you found the area of concern, order status, delayed order, and just click through and find your transcripts and read them. And you realize, hey, this is not the one I wanted. Let me go actually look at complaints. And there, within a couple seconds, you're in, and now you've got the transcript here related to an order status and complaints, and learn a bit more of what that interaction is like and make a decision on what you want to do. Okay, I'm going to back out here, and I'll show you another section. So we talked a little bit about transcript search for order status, but I want to show you a different way. So in that same scenario that I described, where you're looking for things to fix, probably the worst thing you can do is go into your reporting software or your SQL and just say, hey, select star or select every transcript I've had where this word showed up. Very inefficient. You're likely going to have to take that out, put it into some other data visualization software or spreadsheet and work with it, and it's a mess. Again, you burned half your day. With transcript search and Operations Center, we can do the same, replicate the same behavior, a lot more efficiently, a lot quicker, and actually hone in on a set of transcripts that you can actually get through in a reasonable amount of time. The least efficient thing you can do is go through 605,000 chats right manually. You want to bring this down to a manageable list and be able to make a quick decision on what you need to do with your bot. So in this case, again, we're not limiting on contact reason. It's every contact reason, every chat bot agent with the user, and you're looking for things. So in this case, I've got a hunch, or someone sort of told me, hey, there's an issue with Samsung devices or products. Help me figure out what's going on. Go in, search for Samsung. Let's start high. Let's start focusing in. 5,000, still too many to look at. But what I'll do is I'll click this contact reasons drop down, and now what you see is, when someone's referred to Samsung in their conversation, what are all of the topics that they're bringing up? So about, or 1,092 conversations where they're looking for product information. So perhaps a feature, or whether or not something is able to solve their problems. 441 were damaged. That's interesting. To say Samsung and damage order, probably concerning. And then you get down to delayed, complaints, cancel, etc. But I'm going to look at damage, because that's obviously a worry. My customer's not happy. They're likely calling me or chatting with me. So I'm incurring some cost, and I want to solve the root cause of what's going on. So I can take a look here for that contact reason, for the word Samsung, what are my transcripts? What are they all saying? This 441. Probably still too many, but I'll go forward. Which ones are handing off to an agent? Which ones are negative sentiment, and you start getting down to a reasonable list. Read through a couple of these, and it becomes very obvious where your bot might not be performing. Once we had this in my bot management teams for my clients, it helps validate what you found. So you start in conversation analytics, you find where their metrics might be diverging, or you might find where a metric is showing a particular contact reason significantly underperforming. We clicked in, we found a related topic, we looked at what else might be happening with that customer experience, and then you validate that theory. You started to form a hypothesis. Okay, I think the bot simply doesn't understand what the user's saying, or the bot is having to route to an agent because it's not programmed to handle that particular query. And you look at a couple of transcripts and say, yep, that's exactly it. I know what's happening here. They're going to have to always go to an agent. I need to add some handling. And the transcripts really help validate that that assumption that you've made, or that hypothesis that you've made, which is why it's really powerful to start with that summary view and then get down into the actual transcripts and look at what's going on. Okay, I'm going to switch over. Everything we've talked about so far is this contact reason level. So again, transcripts are mined and we're detecting that topic and then calculating metrics for that topic, which allows us to find and pinpoint where there's areas that are underperforming or diverging from the rest of the experience that we need to focus in and improve. This section here, Virtual Agent Analytics, I'm going to click in, solves a different set of issues, and I'll describe them. So again, running through these bots and managing bots over the last 5 years at Wysdom, at some point you start extracting a lot of the value you expected to extract. And I'm talking about metrics for the bot, metrics like natural language understanding, containment, feedback. At some point you start, sort of petering out a bit, and you really need to uncover more. Your sort of standard traditional view of these aren't good enough anymore because, for example, your natural language understanding has hit 95, 96, 97%. It takes an extraordinary amount of effort to get that to 100, even if that, you could argue whether that's even possible to get to 100% natural language understanding. But you need to go deeper with those metrics and say, okay, out of all of the messages I've understood, which ones are right, which ones are wrong? Of the ones that I haven't understood, what do I do with them? And that's where this section, Virtual Agent Analytics, helps with. It gives you a lot more of that color, that detail about metrics out of your platform, so you know what to do in your platform. It's a little bit less focused on the contact reason level, which I just showed you. Excuse me. So what you see here, again, your filters remain at the top. Pick your channel, pick your language, pick your brand and your date range, and you get all of these metrics. There's a lot here. Forgive me, because for the first time you're seeing this, you may not be sure where to look at. So I'll direct you sort of to the top left, and I'll jump you to what I think is the most important part. So these are your summary metrics. How many conversations is my bot handling? How many messages is my bot handling? Fairly straightforward. We start breaking this out. So we get into this contained conversation section. So out of all of the chats that didn't go to an agent, what's happening? What's the containment rate? What's this resolution rate? And then when there's feedback provided by a user, which portion of those are positive and negative? So that's this section here. And then conversely, we look at ones that are handed off, and the same things, whether or not there's negative or positive feedback, which is up here, sorry, and then a bit more about what drove that handoff. But where I want to take you is this section here on the right. So under issues and under NLU training. And this is where we get that deeper level of, deeper set of metrics than you would typically out of your bot platform, which tends to measure just natural language understanding and containment and some volume. So conversations with virtual agent repetition. I talked about this a little bit earlier. This is, in my opinion, probably the best indicator of report experience. When your bot has to repeat itself, it means your customer's not getting what they need, right? This is the same when you talk to someone on the phone or in person. You ask a question, they say something, your standard sort of script, and then you say, okay, that's not really what I wanted, rephrase the question, and the bot or the person says basically the exact same thing back. Worst experience, I hate it whenever that happens to me. I get instantly frustrated. So we put this in here because, in this made up data, almost half of the time the bot repeats itself, which means that customer is probably frustrated. Half of the customers using this bot are leaving frustrated. That doesn't show up obviously. And when you look at, hey, my resolve rate's pretty good, my containment rate's pretty good, my negative feedback, 22%, not so bad. I mean, considering the volume of chats, we know this could be a lot worse. But this is revealing to me that there's a a deeper problem where half of my chats are the bots repeating itself. And I'll show you a little bit more of how we can uncover what's going on. But these are the summary views. And then this NLU training here at the bottom goes into more of that bot understanding of user messages. So like I said, if you've been at it for a little while, you can expect your natural language understanding to be past 95%. That's just the state of bot platforms today and language understanding models. Although, as we know with GPT and these large language models, this is virtually 100% now, if not just a hair under it. But for the traditional bots or the current generation bots, 95 to 98 is good. But what you want to know is, out of all of that 95%, what could be wrong? Like, just because the bot responded doesn't mean it responded with the right thing. So false positive rates we dig into. Wysdom, we've generated or we've incorporated an algorithm of false positives. We've tweaked it. We've layered on our expertise over the last 5 years to measure when, if a bot's responding, is it actually responding with the correct response that it's programmed to or not to. I'll show you how to get to a bit more detail. And then for bots that are a little bit in their infancy, this metric becomes really important. So among all of the messages that are not understood, what are they? Are they, and this breaks it up for you, are they candidates for new intents, or are these things that we deem could be valuable for the bot experience as new intents or new handling? In this case, 20% of those were new intents, and then another portion were existing intents. So that it's giving you ideas, right? OC is taking all of these not understood messages and saying, hey, here's a chunk that could be new use cases, this 19.76%. And then here's a chunk that could be added as training data for your existing utterances. And the rest, it's basically saying are junk, right? The rest of them are not understood and probably won't be ever understood because they're not appropriate to be handled. So it's taking this vast set of messages and giving you an indication of what to do, which I think is really powerful. And again, I'll show you where you can get a lot more detail. And then a few other metrics on your corpus performance. So you'll have a set of intents that you've programmed in your platform. You've got a set of training phrases, and it's giving you an assessment of those. What set are undertrained? Are there similar ones where you might want to separate a little bit? And which intents does Operations Center deem as being low quality? And we've incorporated a lot of machine learning and algorithms that detect these. These aren't sort of just simple counts. What it's doing is taking every intent that you have in your corpus, looking at what you trained it with, and assessing, hey, these don't seem to be close enough to the intent. You probably have a lot of variety, or you have too little variety, and so you need to, with undertrained or with low quality, and you need to improve them. So this is our overview. You can see how much detail's in here. So your jaw may drop when we get to some of these other sections. So let's look at unclassified messages. I love this one. And my customers that get this page tend to spend most of their time here. When we're looking at sort of usage of Operations Center, this is where day in and day out they're going in, because it helps them identify what other use cases can I build to my bot, where do I need to improve the recognition of user questions? And really interestingly, where else can my business expand? I really like that one. And I'll give you an example. It looks like maybe a couple of you are in Canada, a few overseas in America. But in Canada, we have this bank account type for saving for your children's education. I know there's a similar one in the US. I think it's a 501c in the US. And I'm sure in Europe there's a similar account. But anyway, one of my banking clients, they don't have this. They don't have a savings plan for children. And when they launched their bot, they started fielding user questions around, these days interest rates and offers and mortgages and all that. And there was this chunk of users asking about savings plans for their children. But the bank doesn't offer it. There's obviously no handling for it. It's not something they did. But what we started seeing, because what this section of the tool does is it takes all of those messages that the bot didn't understand, aggregates them, it sort of clusters them, and gives you categories or themes. We started seeing a decent number of people asking about these savings plans for children's educations. And so seeing that, the bank is now saying, hold on, there's clearly a demand because they're coming to our website, can't find anything about the savings plan, asking my bot, do you offer this plan? And the bot's saying, hey, sorry, I can't help you. I don't know what you're talking about. And so now they've got evidence to say, hey, here's just a subset of our interaction data in that bot. X number of people have asking about it. Let's go explore this. Is it a viable product for us? So it's really cool to get that angle. A lot of it being 5 years in bot management here at Wysdom. We're so used to using this as what are new intents, what are additional training data, what is an improved conversational journey. But sometimes the eye off the ball, or we take our eye off the ball, which is what can the organization benefit from aside from just bots? And this section kind of reveals what users are talking about that your bot doesn't understand. Maybe it's a new product or service, let alone just improving your bot. So I thought that was neat. I love telling that story because hopefully it launches and then we've generated revenue out of OC, right? Which is pretty cool. So let me walk you through this page. Little sidetrack there, but this is the Operations Center within it the unclassified messages. So what it's doing, it takes, and you can imagine for some of the larger brands I see here, 1 million, 2 million chats a month, times 10 average messages per chat is what we see. And even at 98% understanding, that's a lot of volume that's not understood. So it's unreasonable for any person to go through line by line and say, okay, I think this is an intent or this is not an intent. So what we do here is we take all of these messages and we categorize them. So the tool suggests what we should be doing. The tool suggests what the topics are, and we can use that to help focus in. So in this case, about 17% of all of our chats, 70% of all of our not understood messages were related to product. And then here's our sort of subcategory or topic. So of that, a third were about finding a product. So it's taking some unsupervised clustering here, and then it gives you the actual messages that weren't understood, and you can sort of decide, hey, I'm gonna select these and assign them for a new intent, or decide I'm going to discard them. But this section is really handy because, again, imagine taking 1 million messages every month, sorting through them. Instead, unclassified messages catches them all, categorizes them, and then gives you the actual ones that you then decide, okay, these are ones I'm going to assign to existing intents or create new intents for, or maybe send off to a product team in terms of a new product or service. So that's all the time we have. I showed a lot. There's a lot more, of course, here. We'd love to give you another demo. Certainly reach out to us. I'm going to flip back over to the deck here just to wrap up a little bit of the webinar. One moment. But love to hear from you. If you do want a little bit more tailored demo, a bit more of a focus on any one of these sections. We didn't get into intent performance, which is perhaps a little detailed for what we would have done today, but very focused in on how the bot intents are organized and what we can do to improve them. So in the last minute or two, David, I guess,
just very, very quickly, if anybody has any questions, you can just put them in the chat right now. Heather, I don't know if there are any questions that have come in. Maybe if you could just let us know if there is anything there.
Yeah, sure thing, David. So we do have a couple questions. I think one of them was, you touched on it, Jay, but maybe just to remind the audience, what languages are supported with Operations Center?
So right now, English, French, Spanish, out of the box, no problem. We also have support for other European languages, like German, Swedish, that are coming in. The tool stays in English, but we can analyze and mine through 2 dozen, 3 dozen different languages, including French, English, and Spanish.
Thank you. One other question that's come up here is, when is the right time to bring it in the context of how much data do we need to build this system?
Yeah, that's a great one. I've seen it in 3 different cases. I'll talk through really quickly on all of them. One of them is before we even launch a bot. We've used Operations Center to assess the live agent transcript, so just the live agent on chat or phone, to assess, hey, what are the use cases we should build in? So, you know, even with 10 or 20,000 transcripts, we can start seeing, okay, you know, what are the topics we need to make sure we handle? Another case is very, you know, into a mature bot program, has been live for 3 or 4 years, sort of starting to hit that ceiling on some of those KPIs like containment, satisfaction, or natural language understanding. And the client or the user now needs to see, what else can we do? How else do we extract value from this bot? So OCs, and then the third one being right in the middle. You know, a relatively new bot, just need to see how things are panning out and what we need to do to make sure we continue to drive ROI.
Good stuff. So I see we're up on the end of the time slot here. So being mindful of everyone's time, we'll wrap it up now. Thank you everybody for joining us. Hope you found it useful and interesting, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thanks, everybody.